I have read manga. I have enjoyed them. Some good, some bad, but overall, I can't complain. The ones that I have for you today are very new, very refreshing, very different, actually. So I think you will be pleasantly surprised and definitely worth your time to learn about. The first one is Centuria, and this story surprised me because it's done by an assistant of Tatsuki Fujimoto. Yes, another one of those situations where Fujimoto's assistants go on to create very reputable and successful stories. This potentially could be another one of those situations. I don't know how or why coming in contact with Fujimoto makes it possible for you to do it, but it happens. And here we are with one of his newest ones, coming from Chainsaw Man Part 2, I believe. Centuria gives me heavy Vinland Saga vibes, but like the second half of the story, where Thorfinn is trying to reclaim kind of his humanity and being a pacifist in a world of disgusting, horrible activity. That might turn you off, but just hear me out for a moment. Centuria focuses on a character known as Julian, who is kind of like a young teenage boy, has known the hardships of this 16th century-esque world, you know, think Vikings and knights, etc. Brutal, disgusting, horrible living. He is a slave, and he jumps on a ship with 100 other slaves going towards a new continent looking for a better life. Julian knows no compassion, no friendship, no kindness. He's only ever known hurt and pain. But these slaves on this boat actually show him a good time. They treat him well. They treat him like one of their own. And over this short trip, he becomes very close with a woman known as Mira, who becomes a motherly figure towards him. Something he's never had before, and it's very personal and emotionally taxing thinking about his own mother, who sold him off as a slave to begin with. So he gets close with all of these people and this new motherly figure, but something horrendous happens. The quote-unquote owner of these slaves isn't actually going to use them. He just wants to kill them and claim the insurance on their bodies. So he plans to dump them at sea next to this very mysterious zone of water. Think of it like the Bermuda Triangle. No ship, no person, no pirate, no warlord wants to set foot or boat or sail into this vicinity of water. So it happens. All of these slaves start to get killed and dumped into the water, and the last people that remain is Julian and Mira, who is heavily pregnant. The dumping of these bodies would call upon an eldritch being, this horrifying cosmic creature out of the depths of the ocean, symbolized by the sea life. Looking like an octopus, squid, mutation, hybrid thing, speaking to Julian and Mira. It offers them a wish, but to grant it, you have to fulfill two things. The first is a large quantity of sacrifices, which is what the slaves were. The second is something personal. Julian originally gives up his life for Mira and her child to live forward with this newfound wish, but because of past personal experiences that Mira has had with her previous child being the same age as Julian and losing him before, she doesn't want the same outcome to happen. So she sacrifices her own life. Very noble, very kind, caring, and just sacrificial. It's sad. Rips out her own child prematurely, now known as Diana, and gives her to Julian to take care of as she plunges off into the sea. This fulfills the wish, and Julian gets it granted. What he wishes for is kind of the strength and power to find the best within humanity. Not for himself, but just for life in general, that he wishes within this cruel world that there still can be good people. This being grants the ability to find that. So Julian would inherit all 100 slaves' power. Cram them all together, they're now inside of Julian, their strength, speed, intelligence, abilities, whatever it may be. That also means that he has 100 lives. On top of it, he also has a bit of cosmic abilities, a little bit supernatural, a little bit spooky, and he uses these newfound abilities to decimate everyone on this ship, leaving no survivors whatsoever. And what you get is him on a little boat with this brand new child called Diana that he's now taking care of, going towards a unknown continent with mysterious lurking figures following him, a weird sense of horror in the background, and just a disgusting world that he's trying to find the best within. The story is very early, it has a handful of chapters, but each week I'm constantly interested to see where it goes and what it does. It does remind me heavily of Vinland Saga, but a little bit more gritty, a little bit more edgy. It doesn't fully go down this pacifistic route because the world is so consistently disgusting, and Julian needs to defend himself and Diana. He's very introspective as a person, constantly learning, and I love characters like this. It's entertaining, it's fun, it's very personal, and I think a lot of you will really enjoy it. But a lot of you might want something a little bit simpler. This is Astro Royale. It's by the same author that done Tokyo Revengers. But yeah, hold on before you skip, right? I understand the legacy of TR. I know it was very well received at one point and then instantly hated towards the end. I personally haven't read it. I can't comment on that. If you like it, hate it, whatever it may be, so be it. But this is a pretty big story. For a lot of reasons. One, TR was massive within a completely different magazine, so they kind of got poached, and now are within Weekly Shonen Jump. Big thing. They also had a opposite reception of Kagurabachi. That story was memed heavily in a good way before its release. Astro Royale was memed in a bad way. However, the story isn't actually that bad. Funny enough, I enjoy it. It feels like prime Weekly Shonen Jump. Not new or revolutionary, but something familiar and grounded with that sprinkle of fantasy or superpowers that you need to kind of compete with everything else. Astro Royale is comfortable for the author. It is about gangs once again. It starts with the passing of a young boy's father, kind of like this gang leader. He'd done well within the community, he looked out for everyone, and he was a strong, independent fella. He also has a bunch of children. He has one legitimate son, which is the main character, and about 12 others that he's taken in. On his deathbed, all of his children are fighting for his legacy. They want to be the next leader, the next boss, the next big man. But it falls into the main character, legitimate child's hands to take the gang into the future. A meteor would crash down and bestow people with special abilities. The main character gets a very powerful arm that punches like a bullet, and it's meant to be the strongest punch. All of the children also get special abilities. So now our main character, his stepbrother, who's like his right-hand man, have to work together to fight all the other children that want to become the head of the family. Now this might sound really simple, and truth be told, it is. But it has a lot going for it. These stories are really addicting because there's so much you can just add onto it within a moment's notice. It's a really solid, simple foundation that has a bunch of building blocks that you can just keep adding on consistently every single week, whether it be for characters, whether it be for powers, whether it be for, expanding the family or whatever it may be. So there's a lot going into this. And I think the reception in Japan so far has been really good. I think everywhere else, a little bit mixed. It's going to take time for people to warm up to this story, I think, because it is just Tokyo Revengers with superpowers. It doesn't have to be the next big thing, it doesn't have to be revolutionary, it just has to tell its story well. And so far, it is doing that. It is a little early, however, and Jump are very quick to axe things. But what you should actually be curious about is this final story, because it is very, very different. And different is good. This is Ankoku Delta, and to describe this story is a little bit difficult, but I'll try my best. Human world, normal. There's another world called Delta. It's like a separate dimension, runs parallel with the human world. Not normal. Bunch of weird, creative individuals that live within here. They're kind of humanoid, but then there's like dog creatures and they're like cyborgs. All of these weird contraption mishmashes of different identities and cultures and ideas, etc., right? Very interesting. This world known as Delta functions off of the human world. They steal the life force of people. You can do this partially, like a little sip. You can have a big gulp, and you can actually kill people. The human world know about Delta. They actually work hand in hand, so the human world can supply things to Delta, and Delta supplies things back. The citizens of Delta can't actually go into the human world without a skin suit, so there's a bit of a barrier of entry. If they don't wear a skin suit, they evaporate and die. There is another dimension we know nothing about that are here to destroy Delta. They have a grudge. It's a very T-like organization. But to get to Delta, they have to go through the human world. So they're going to start causing chaos within there in hopes for Delta to come in and try and save the situation, or at least observe what is going on. Our main character is a very airhead woman, kind of just going about her day, doing her jobs. She likes traveling to the human world to interact with people, and she reminds me a lot of Power from Chainsaw Man. Same vibe, same personality. So the political drama and warfare that's currently going down is about to wrap up our main character and all of these dimensions at once. I don't know if I've done a good job explaining that, but it's fun, it's interesting, it's new, I enjoy it. I think it's something different, like I said, and different is good. I I think there's a solid story to be had here though. It's taking its time, that's for sure, to build it up politically, but character-wise, there's so much uniqueness within here. Every character looks so entirely different, every design, every mindset, just refreshing. I'm curious to see how the main character gets involved in all of this drama, because they're just a small fry in this much bigger packet of chips, and there's a lot of great directions that I believe it can go within. This story has a lot of chances to be really successful and enjoyed by a lot of people. So if it sounds interesting, I think you should give it a chance. But that does go for all of the stories that I've talked about today. They all offer something very different, very valuable, and therefore, in my opinion, are all kind of worth your time. Welcome to the end of the video. If you've made it this far, thank you. I appreciate it. Why not leave a like and subscribe? That'd be nice. Also, check out some of these videos here. The more you watch, the more YouTube recommends me, and that supports me. I'd appreciate that, and you'll probably enjoy the video. If any of these stories sound interesting, or if you've read them already, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. And with that, I will see you all later.